All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Sunday, April 3rd. We have a 14/15 game MLB slate to dive into in today's video. I say that because of the Braves and the Reds game, but like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, if you do want to fade me, all of that's going to be free down in the pinned comment. In terms of how we did yesterday, we were literally staring down the barrel of a 5-0 sweep. We had 4 on the board. Padres are the only one to go. They were up, what, 3 or 4 to nothing. And I'm sitting there being like, here we go. A 5-0 sweep. It's going to be awesome. Padres blow, all right, in the 4th or 5th inning. But still a 4-1 night. I'll take it. We'll take a little bit of a cha-ching there, but unfortunately, that Padres one left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth, but I can't get too wrapped up in that, right? In terms of how we did with the ride of the day, Powerlift comes through, pumping some crowd noise. It took some cojones to take the over in the Detroit and Philadelphia game because they had Zach Wheeler and Tarek Skubal on the mound, right? 2 of the best pitchers that we have. And that thing soared over 7-5, I believe the final score was. So that was another cash for Powerlift. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it's simple. All you have to do is use that hashtag ride of the day down in the comments. Give me your favorite play of the day. I jump on board with one person's play each and every day and give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. If you win, we continue to roll with your play. The tracker gets updated. We have all of the ride of the days that we've had recently here on the tracker. If you do lose, unfortunately, you still get the shout out, but we got to talk about it, right? And though we're riding with Powerlift today, make sure to get your hashtag ride of the days in there, even though we're not picking someone new, because you're helping out a ton of other people in the comment section, and there's nothing better than that. So go ahead and get those hashtag ride of the days down in the comments. But all right, what do you say we jump into today's slate? Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get rocking here. We got Boston taking on Houston. This is an early one, I believe 11:45 or 11:35 a.m. Eastern time. Lucas Giolito on the bump going up against Framber Valdez. Now, my Red Sox have won a bunch of games. I think they've won, what, 7 of their last 10? And they've won both of the games so far in this series. 2-1 in game number 1, and then 7-3 in game number 2 yesterday. I don't necessarily want to sit here and say that this Red Sox team is going to sweep the Astros. I don't think I can get there, but I've also leaned Astros, both games so far, which is kind of crazy because the Red Sox have looked pretty good. Like they won that first one in extras. Yesterday, the offense comes alive. But I do still sit here and think that Framber Valdez is a little bit different of an animal. I'm going to lean Astros, but I'm going to give the pitchers here a little bit of credit. I haven't been thrilled with this Astros offense, right? Game 1, they score 1 run. Game 2, 3 runs. If you look at them recently, they've had their ups and downs, but they've scored 1 run in a lot of games in their last 10. So I'm going to lean towards the under in this spot. I do believe we have some humidity and a lot of, nice scoring weather in Boston today, but still, Valdez and Giolito, giving them a little bit of credit there. But I think the Astros at least squeak 1 out here against Boston. So give me them and the under. All right, next up, we have Tampa Bay taking on the Dodgers. Yesterday, Tampa Bay wins this one 4-0. Today, Yamamoto's on the mound for the Dodgers, going up against Joe Boyle, who just made his first start in a long time, right? Being more of a pen arm against the Yankees. He went 3 1/3, 6 strikeouts, 4 earned, 6 did come in. So though he's a good pitcher and has some really good numbers, I will give him that. I don't know if he's built to open up a game. The Yankees got to him. I have to expect the Dodgers do to some degree, even though this offense really is not the Dodgers offense that we know, right? They're averaging 2.3 runs per game in their last 3. That obviously helps by them scoring 0 yesterday, but even, still 2, 5, and 0 is the last 3 games they've scored. In the last 10, they do have a few that they kind of went better, but this Dodgers offense is cold. I do still think that they can score today, though. They're going to get a lot of fastballs from Joe Boyle, a lot of sliders. They can hit, I should say, both of those pitches really, really well. They've been struggling against them, but that kind of comes along with a bad offense because that's how they've been playing. So I'm going to trust Yamamoto here. I'm also going to trust that the Dodgers bats come alive to some degree. Give me the Dodgers if you can get a nice price behind them. If you can't, it's probably going to be a Dodgers team total over for me. But then I also don't mind Chandler Simpson, Tampa Bay Ray, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs for a couple of reasons here. So he's worse against right-handed pitchers. Yamamoto's a righty. His WRC plus stays the same, but his average drops about 7 points. And then Yamamoto against left-handed bats this season, 177 average against, and a WOBA against of 233. Now, Simpson on the year is crushing fastballs, only a 1% strikeout rate and a 372 strikeout rate, WOBA. So, okay, maybe that's a little bit worrisome, but in the last 30 days, he's not hitting fastballs all that well, and then you're going to get the splitter, the curve from Yamamoto, which are really two deadly pitches when he's on. He struggles against those, so kind of crossing my fingers with the fastball here and hoping that that one doesn't burn us, because that would be the pitch that ultimately burns us in this spot for an under. But I like the spot for Chandler Simpson, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. All right, we're jumping to this Atlanta and Cincinnati game. It's way down the bottom of our import there in terms of the graphic, but that's because there's still some confusion as to what's going on with this game. Is it being played today? Is it going to be suspended again? But as of right now, they're taking off from where they were, I believe, at 1 p.m. So what I would say in this one is still kind of trusting Chase Burns if he is pitching. That would be kind of crazy to me, so I don't know exactly who's on the mound here, but I don't mind the Reds, I guess, in this spot or an over, especially with all the wonkiness going on. But I did want to kind of cover that one and break it down, but it's not much of a breakdown. I don't think I have too much going on in this game, just because of how it was canceled, or was delayed, then canceled, then suspended, all the weirdness, right? So wanted to touch on it, but I don't think that we're going to do too much on it, if I'm being honest. All right, Washington taking on Milwaukee. I wish we did a little bit more on this game yesterday, because we saw it as Milwaukee all day long, and they win 8-2, right? Today we have Jacob Miso Soup Misarowski on the mound. He has been kind of like, you look at his numbers and you're like, all right, well, 1.6 ERA in his last 5 starts, all that's great, but they've really started to watch his pitches and watch his innings, and he hasn't been pitching deep into games, and that last start against the Cubs was not all that great. He made the error, another run came in. That was all happening in like the first couple innings. Brad Lord on the other side of things really hasn't been all that terrible, so I do think Washington can hang in here to some degree, but by the time that bullpen rolls around, I don't love it. I think Milwaukee's a way better offense too, so it's still going to be similar to what we looked at yesterday. Brewers and their team total over, and then I don't mind Andrew Vaughn here over 0.5 singles. We cashed this with Machado yesterday, kind of checks out. He's got a 3.6 pitch mix rating in terms of scorepredicts.com, our prediction model website. So yeah, I kind of like the idea of him to get a single. These are all, I feel like the values may be sailing away from us a little bit, but it is what we'd look at in terms of Brewers kind of getting to Lord. He's going to throw a ton of fastballs. They hit that well. They hit the sinker well. They hit the slider well. It's realistically just the changeup, and they're still 11th in the last 30 days in terms of runs above average. So the Brewers should be able to put up a good number today. The hybrid approach of all of this is Brewers team total over. All right, before we move on to the rest of the games, I want to talk to you guys about Novig. You've heard me talk about them before. I'm going to talk about them again, guys. This is an absolute must if you are looking to odd shop, get the best prices and best lines out there. I'm always telling you guys, add more books to your arsenal, because those 3 cents of value that you can get from book A to book B will go a long way in the MLB season with all the volume that we have. Check out the link down in the description as well as the pinned comment. Sign up for Novig. You can use code GuyBoston as well. You're going to get a little bonus cash too, but this is absolutely awesome. Now, you might be asking yourself, why do we get better lines over there like 95% of the time? It's because it is a peer-to-peer exchange, so there's someone else filling the other side of that play, not necessarily just the book, right? The big conglomerate. So head over there, guys. Novig, add it to your arsenal. You will not regret it. You're going to get some money line plays, some player prop plays, and you're getting like 10 cents of value compared to what the industry, has and the market has. It is really, really awesome, and it is a must if you are looking to get the best prices available, which you should be. The best odds are living over there. Check it out, guys. Link down in the description as well as the pinned comment. Let's jump back into these games. All right, moving on, we have Toronto taking on Kansas City. Toronto gets the 4-2 win yesterday. That was Noah Cameron and Max Scherzer. Today we have Chris Bassett going up against Seth Lugo. Seth Lugo coming off of a couple mediocre starts, I guess. He had a pretty good one against the Cubs in Wrigley, but the 2 other ones against Miami and then Atlanta in his last start, not all that great. Not terrible, but not great, right? Chris Bassett coming off of one of his worst starts of the year against Baltimore. 2 1/3, 7 hits, 6 earned, 2 home runs, just 4 strikeouts, right? I do think that both these pitchers bounce back to some degree, but I'm still going to trust the better offense to get it done. So I'm going to lean Blue Jays first 5. The reason first 5 comes around is because this bullpen, though it's not like overly taxed, I don't want to make too big of a deal of it, has thrown more pitches more recently than Kansas City has. So I think first 5 is a little bit better of an edge, I guess. But you can even see, I'm looking at the first 500 and the full game under, so I don't think that Toronto's going to come out here and absolutely smoke Lugo or smoke the bullpen. I still think it's going to be somewhat of a low-scoring game. Like, I could see another 4-2 type of a win for Toronto like we saw yesterday. Now, I also kind of take a peek at Bo Bichette. First and foremost, he's been absolutely killing it, right? Looking at Outlier. By the way, guys, also have a link for Outlier in the description. 7-day free trial. He's been absolutely killing it. Last 10 games, 3.3 hits, runs, and RBIs per game. Against righties, looks really good as well. On the season here, at home, 70% of his games he's hit the over in. Against righties, 69 nice percent of games. What I really do like is the fact that he's batting 300 against righties, WRC plus of 121. He's already batting 286 with 2 hits and 2 RBIs against Seth Lugo. Here's where we can get a little concerned, right? The curveball. That is a pitch that he hasn't been hitting all that well in the season. But you go fastball, slider, even sinker, everything pretty much checks out until you get to the cutter, which is only 12.6% of the time. That being said, using our dashboard, this is found on GuyBostonSports.com in the members area. You could see right here, we have him at a nice pitch mix rating. This is the last 30 days, so I'm kind of combining the two. Full season data and now last 30 days. You can see here he's a really good 9.1 runs above average against the curveball. So he's hitting the curveball well lately, which is what we'd want to see. So I don't mind Bo Bichette over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I will tell you, the fact that it's minus 155 for the over, a little worrisome. Actually, speaking of Novig, right? Minus 152 over there. I do think that that's a little juicy, but it is a player prop spot that I'd consider if I needed a player prop in this game. If I had to rank those, actually, we'll put that back up. I'd probably go, Blue Jays first 5, then the first 5 under, then Bo Bichette, then the full game under. That's probably how I'd rank those 4 plays on your screen right now. All right, we got Miami taking on the Yankees, and this Yankees team, I mean, I love to see it as a Red Sox fan, but they cannot catch a break. If you're a Yankees fan right now, I don't even know what you're doing with yourself. Like, I'm driving myself up a wall if I'm a Yankees fan. Jazz doing the things that he's doing, just some of the mistakes they're making, some of the antics that are going on in the dugout. I say it as a Red Sox fan, yikes, but I also would say it as a bigger yikes if I was a Yankees fan here. Today, we do have on the mound for Miami is going to be Edward Cabrera. He's been awesome. Really, really good. I thought he was going to be one of the guys that potentially gets moved at the deadline. Did not. He's going up against Luis Gil, who's making his debut here for the season, right? So we don't know exactly what we're going to get out of him. If we do kind of look back to obviously past seasons for him, last year I believe he was a 3.5 ERA, but a decent whip in AAA so far this season, 7.04 ERA. That's only in a couple starts, right? 1.5 whip in AA, 1.13 whip with a 4 ERA. So I think that he could be serviceable, but it's probably going to take a little bit of time for him to get adjusted. And this Yankees bullpen, I don't fully trust all that much. So just because we're still getting plus money behind Miami, I'm going to take a peek at them, but I also don't mind the idea of an over. It does make sense to me that, 13-12 in game number 1 and then a 2-0 game yesterday for Miami. Do I think the Marlins actually sweep the Yankees? Most likely not. So the over probably being something that I'm looking at more so in this game, but I think that this Marlins offense can put up a better number than they did yesterday, and I also do think the Yankees can as well. So yeah, it's going to be a lean towards the over for me. I don't know if we fully get to the Marlins. The only reason I'm throwing them up on the screen is because they are still plus money, and I think that this should be somewhat of a 50-50 type of a spot, All right, Guardians in Minnesota, kind of a weird one here. I guess each game has been a little weird so far in this series, but Cleveland's won both of them 3-2, then 5-4. I would say that they probably end up, running that right back and winning again. That being said, I don't know how much I fully trust either one of these offenses or either one of the pitchers, so it's kind of a wonky one, right? We have Cantillo on the mound going up against Jose Urena. I think the easiest thing to go to, and I don't mean to use the word easy as if it's going to hit or anything like that, but the easiest thing that is to understand is that, okay, maybe Cleveland goes out there and scores 4 runs, right? So I'm going to lean Guardians team total over. I also don't mind Nolan Jones getting a hit or Steven Kwan's over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Those are just based on the pitch mix that we'll see out of Urena. Now, I'm not exactly sure how many innings we'll see out of him, right? Mainly a bullpen guy this year for a few different squads, I guess. So there's kind of a question mark there. Cantillo on the other side of things, has not been all that great at home in his starts. He's going to throw the fastball and changeup, though, which are two pitches that Minnesota definitely struggles against. So if you like the Guardians and you want to pay, minus 170 for them, all right, be my guest. I think it's a little too juicy for me, but this thing's probably going to move back to a consumable, like, minus 160, I guess, which still is a big price tag for this Guards team. But I can't really see, I think someone at some point is going to be like, well, Cantillo's not that good, and money starts moving back towards the Twins, right? So if you want the Guardians just on the money line, make it easy. You probably wait it out, but I think that they can go out there and score 4 runs today, as well as those player props coming through. But like I said, I could have put question marks behind all 3 of those plays on the screen right now because it is a weird one. Guys, just a sneak peek, we have some new merch dropping on the store tomorrow, the Throwing Gas collection. We have a Scuba one, a Crochet one, a Skeens, a Wheeler one, and then a couple more on the way. Just a cool shirt, a little baseball head there. Each team has like a design behind the pitcher, kind of related to their team, but again, it's not Scuba, it's not Wheeler, it's not Crochet, it's not Skeens, for copyright purposes, just guys that throw gas in the league. So fademe.store, go ahead and check it out. Again, these will be launching tomorrow morning if you do want to pick one up, but there's tons of other stuff in the store right now if you want to go browse and get some great sports betting merch right now. Mets taking on the Giants. We have Carson Wisenhouse on the mound, making his second start here for the Giants. The Mets have Frankie Montas on the mound, so I would almost lean towards the over in this game, or Mets team total over to some degree. Yes, there's a few plays that we're throwing up on the screen that we just don't, we're kind of almost talking ourselves off of, but it's just what we would do. Like, a few of these plays we've already looked at today are definitely leans instead of me actually wanting to get down with it. But the reason that I do like the over is because I don't think either one of these pitchers are all that great. The reason I start to kind of talk myself back is that Mets aren't that great against lefties, right? We do have Wisenhunt, who is a lefty, and this Giants offense isn't all that good. So you can make an argument that this could be a 4-3 game. That's why maybe paying a little bit of juice for Mets team total over could be the spot. We don't have to count on 2 offenses to do anything great. I think the Mets can put up 4 or 5 runs, but I would only look at them over 4.5 if you're getting plus money. If you can pay the juice, I guess, for the over 3.5, that's probably where I'd still go in that one. So it really comes down to what price you're getting, which again is why you should be odd shopping, to be able to compare and contrast to see where the market is at. But right now, for minus 175, that's what you can get for 3.5. That's too much for me. But maybe that moves in the direction of coming back down to earth a little bit. Will it? Maybe not, but still, I think that's probably what I'd look at. So this one's probably a pass, but it would be some form of Mets or the over, but I don't know how much we can count on the offenses, so it's tough to say over and then say that right afterwards. All right, Cubs taking on Baltimore. Baltimore gets the win yesterday, 4-3. Today, I do think it kind of flips back over to the Cubs side of things, but in somewhat of a, I guess, low-scoring game as well. So I'm going to look at the Cubs -1. That's an alternate run line. Don't love the idea of them being at home with that -1.5 in what I'd consider a low-scoring spot with the wind blowing in at Wrigley. So that alternate and losing that half run, just looking at them -1, probably the move. They have Colin Rea on the mound going up against Brandon Young. Colin Rea really hasn't been fantastic. He did have a few really good starts in a row, but this guy has been a roller coaster ride in general this season, right? But he's going up against Brandon Young, who finally stumbled upon a good start against Baltimore. He's been really bad this year, and I don't think that he's anything worth trusting. He has an ERA of nearly 7. Against lefties, he's terrible, so that means Bush, Tucker, PCA. Ian Happ's going to be a lefty today. I do think this Cubs team can get it done. So, yeah, Colin Rea, I'm not exactly all that thrilled about to back, but I do think that this is a Cubs spot in somewhat of a low-scoring game. A couple player props that I take a peek at. We'll start with Cowser. Don't mind his under. He's more of an all-or-nothing guy in a sense. So I like his under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, especially when I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. If he walks, I don't think he'll score. If he's batting, I don't think he lifts ones and sends it into the universe. You know what I mean? Then Ian Happ over 0.5 hits. This one came through for us yesterday. If we were to take it, it was a lean of ours. But our pitch mix rating that we have for him is a 7.6 today against, Brandon Young, which kind of comes down to the fact that we're going to see him, see a splitter, and he's fantastic against splitters. That is definitely weighing his pitch mix rating, but he'll see that splitter like 20% of the time. So 1 every 5 pitches, we can kind of anticipate that, right? So it's not nothing that he can crush the splitter and get a hit today. So I like all of those plays. They're all kind of even right now. I'd say Cubs -1 maybe turns into the one that I like the most, just because I'm seeing the line movement on this game and it's making a little bit more sense to me there. So yeah, I like the Cubs in this spot. I think that they bounce back. But Baltimore fought yesterday, and Sugano, what did he go, 5 innings and didn't look all that terrible, but then they end up scoring all of their runs. Did they score in the 9th or 8th inning? Like, that was a Cubs 3-0 game until the 8th or 9th inning. You know what I mean? I think the Cubs get this one done today. Give me them minus the 1. All right, Colorado taking on Pittsburgh, another spot in which we actually like a lot of, plays in this one. We have 4 leans, I can count. 4 leans that we're liking as of right now, so we can kind of go through these ones. First and foremost, I like the Pirates, and there's a chance that we look at them, but realistically, I kind of like all 4 on your screen, so we'll see what we end up rolling with. The Pirates lose both of those games, obviously the dramatic one being game 1 of this series, 17-16, in which they had a 9-run lead in the first inning. Then they lose yesterday, 8-5. Skeens did his job. We cashed that Rockies team total under 0.5 in the first 3, and then poof, right? So now we have Mitch Keller against Bradley Blaylock. Now, Blaylock's actually been okay. I really feel like people are missing that he's come back, and since he's been pitching in July, 5 2/3, 1 earned run, 5 1/3, 2 earned runs, 6 innings pitched, 0 earned. Now, that was against Cleveland. You can make the argument Cleveland's still been struggling, yada, 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 but they've looked good against a couple other teams, right? So he's pitched against Cincinnati, St. Louis, and Cleveland. Sure, you can make an argument that they aren't all that fantastic. Mitch Keller's on the other side of things, and he hasn't been terrible, a 1.8 ERA over his last 5 starts. He's gone up against some tough offenses as well. So I think both of those guys can pitch fairly well. That's why I end up liking the first 5 under. But the reason I like the Pirates is simply because I do think Mitch Keller gives them an advantage. I think they have the better bullpen, both skill numbers and who's thrown lately, right? All of the high leverage arms should be available for this Pittsburgh team to at least skate out with a win. The problem of taking the Pirates here is at minus 140, their offense is, this is a better Colorado offense right now, which is crazy to say, right? So it's a little worrisome, but I think the pivot there is, okay, if Mitch Keller's going to pitch well, maybe we look at somewhat of an under, whether it's the full game, whether it's that first 5, 6.5, or we just say Mitch Keller, we'll pay the juice, under 3.5 earned. Do not allow 4 runs in your start today. On the season, he's been pretty damn good at doing that. He's only done it 3 times out of his 22 starts. That's 86% of games. On the road, he's done it. He's stayed under that 3.5 line 9 out of 9 times. Now, let's put it into perspective. It is Coors. It's a little bit different. No kidding, he hasn't done that, right? So there is something to be said there. But to me, I think that he can pitch fairly well. Hopefully the slider and fastball are working for him. He's really good against righties. This is a jam-packed lineup of Colorado righties. So yeah, all 4 of these plays kind of viable today. I would say the value almost I would put on the first 5 under 6.5 because it's a massive number. You can get it right now at minus 123. So that's probably what I look at first, but that under 12 also kind of like too. But we'll see. I liked the under in the first game here. Remember that, guys? I think we played the under, and it was 17-16. Not exactly our best look. So that's what we're looking at in this one. And it's funny, we've had a lot of plays each day that we've actually liked in this Colorado-Pittsburgh game. It's kind of crazy, which are 2 of the most wild card teams in the league. Yet we've actually had some spots that we like. So we'll see if we do anything with those today. All right, we got the A's taking on Arizona. Yesterday, Arizona revives themselves. They score 7 runs. Zach Gallen pitches in that one. They win 7-2. Today, for the pitchers, we have Jack Perkins, who is getting his first start of the season here. And I don't think he's just opening. I think that they have already talked about the idea of Perkins either now becoming a starter or a closer. So we don't know exactly what we're getting out of him. Literally, I think they said when Mason Miller got traded, they were like, oh, he could be the new closer. And then boom, he's starting this game. So we'll see what happens with him. But I believe the latest report was that they're going to try him in the rotation. So he may pitch deeper into the game, right, than we might think. He's going up against Eduardo Rodriguez, who I don't really think is all that fantastic. We've backed him a couple times in some good spots this year, but not against the Athletics offense right now. So it'll be the Athletics and maybe an Arizona team total under. This total is kind of up there. This Arizona offense, yes, they sparked yesterday, but can we really trust them to do it 2 games in a row? I don't think so. So it's more of a fade of them than me backing Perkins or anything like that. But for what it's worth, he throws the slider as one of his main pitches 38% of the time. Arizona, last 30 days, 3rd worst against the slider. So if we get some innings out of this dude, he might actually be able to pitch fairly well against a Diamondbacks team that 1 is stinking and 2 can't hit the damn slider. All right, next up, the Angels taking on the White Sox. We have Kachanowicz on the mound going up against Sean Burke. Obviously, Sean Burke, if you've been watching all year, has been a guy that we've kind of liked, but he's really been hit or miss. He's coming off of a good start against Tampa Bay. Didn't pitch too deep in the games. He's not really doing that much lately, but 0 earned. Kachanowicz kind of in a similar boat. Only 4 2/3 against Texas, but 0 earned. So both these guys coming off of decent-ish starts. Their numbers against the other team have been pretty damn good as well, which kind of leads me into what we like here. Yes, I'll look at the White Sox just because I do think that that's the side that has the value today in a 50-50 game in my opinion, and you have the White Sox sitting here at, plus 135. Sure, that's the reason. It's a price play, not exactly what I think, would happen in a sense. The first 5 under 5.5 is actually something that I'm considering sprinkling on here. Both of these guys should be okay, and neither one of these offenses is all that fantastic, right? So Kachanowicz especially keeping the ball on the ground, but then Sean Burke being able to use the curve in the slider, I think he can do all right. Now, the problem is he really struggles against righties. There's a lot of righties in this LA lineup, which is scary to some degree. I get it, but to me, first 5 under is more of a actually it's more of like a 2+2. Like, both offenses aren't all that great, and I think both pitchers can be somewhat serviceable, and they've already shown, this year, and I believe it was last year for Kachanowicz too, but earlier in the year, both of them have pitched well against the opposing squad. We saw the Angels play the White Sox March 30th, and Kachanowicz went 2 earned over 6 innings. Sean Burke 0 earned over 6 innings, so hopefully they can just kind of run that one right back and do it again. All right, San Diego, St. Louis, the game that took the sweep right out from under us yesterday. Today we have Dylan Cease on the bump. He's going up against Andre Pallante. Pallante's going to throw a bunch of fastballs. He's also going to mix in the slider there 29% of the time, and the sinker 13.5% of the time. Those are his kind of first 3 pitches. This is San Diego team last 30 days, number 1 against the sinker, number 5 against the slider. I think that they can hit him today, so I do lean Padres. It's going to be another, -1. I don't think it's going to be the highest of scoring games, so sure, I guess slightly towards the under, but obviously I didn't even put it on the screen. Don't necessarily love it. That would be kind of the direction I lean in, because I think even if the Padres don't hit, I think one of these teams doesn't show up today in a sense. It could be Pallante, causing San Diego to hit it into the ground and a bunch of ground balls and all that, and then, the Padres don't score. But I also see Cease being able to, boy, that was a tough one to say, being able to hum fastball and slider, a pitch that both of those should work pretty damn well against St. Louis. So Padres -1 would be something I consider. We move on to player props. I like kind of 2 of the better bats here in the San Diego lineup. They're going to see fastball slider. Both these guys hit the fastball slider really, really well. Arias as well as Machado. So I like them both over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Both are a little bit juicy, but they've been absolutely crushing it lately. You can see here Manny Machado, 3.6 hits, runs, and RBIs over his last 10 games. Luis Arias 3, and if you look at his last 5 games, absolutely crushing it, right? So both these guys definitely viable spots. The problem is, again, we really have to assume that San Diego's offense is going to step up today if we're looking at 2 guys that are over hits, runs, and RBIs. Maybe one of them drives the other one in. That would be pretty damn nice. But give me Padres -1 as well as those 2 player props. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be that high of a scoring game, which is the kind of the wrench in the plan of all of what we just talked about. All right, guys, before we do jump into this game, go ahead and comment 27 if you made it this far into the video. Like I told you in yesterday's video, you guys think you're just commenting a number and showing support, but it's pretty much telling me that you made it this far in the video, which means a lot to me. So it means more that you're commenting that than you might even think. So really do appreciate everyone that commented yesterday, and if you're commenting the number today, really do appreciate it. We got Seattle taking on Texas. Yesterday we cashed a couple in this one, right? First 3 and first 5. Kind of want to run that right back, but my money line plan got spoiled. I said yesterday I kind of hope that Seattle wins this one, which was yesterday, so that we can look at DeGrom on the bump against Seattle tomorrow. Tomorrow's now here, and Texas won yesterday, so I still lean Texas. I think that, they have the advantage with DeGrom. Both these bullpens in really rough situations. Seattle pitched 7 guys yesterday, and a few of those guys have pitched 2 of the last 3 now. DeGrom, I would give the bump in terms of advantage over Logan Evans, who's pitching for the Mariners today, but Evans hasn't been terrible. I mean, he's coming off of a rough start. Prior to that, he had been pretty damn good, so I think that this is going to be a spot in which we also consider a first 3 or first 5 under. We cashed both of those yesterday. Today, it probably would be a first 3 under. Ultimately, I think that these guys can kind of go one time through the lineup and look pretty good, so we'll see if that becomes a final play. That's probably the best look. I think you'd have to pay -140-ish for that. First 5 under 4.5 would be like -160. So you're getting a little bit of value there in terms of runs per inning and the margin that you'd have to look at. So yeah, somewhat of a low scoring game, which is obviously what the total indicates. If you're playing the full game under, I'd think twice about it, because I mentioned how the Mariners bullpen's cooked. There's just as many guys that pretty much threw for Texas yesterday, and Garcia, Matten, and Collum, a couple of the new guys too, right, pitched 2 days in a row. So I would definitely stress that there could be some runs just due to a tired bullpen late in this game. So if you like the under, you like both starters, maybe try and shrink how many innings we're kind of looking at here. All right, last game we'll be looking at here because, again, we already kind of touched on the Atlanta and Cincinnati game really briefly early in the video, but Philadelphia taking on Detroit. Now, Charlie Morton's on the bump for Detroit here. He's going up against Chris Sanchez, and I do like the idea of the Phillies kind of bouncing back after a loss yesterday, whether it's the -1 in the full game or the first 5 minus the half. I think that's going to be the direction that I'd take a peek at here. Phillies can hit the curveball well. That's super, super important to note when, taking a peek at Charlie Morton because that's like his main go-to pitch. But the big thing here is that, okay, Detroit got to Zach Wheeler. I mean, got to him. Both teams, I think, both pitchers had 10 strikeouts, 3 earned yesterday. But, you beat us with one of our aces on the mound. Well, guess what? We have 2 aces. You don't, is what I imagine the mantra is right now in the clubhouse right now. And Chris Sanchez should be fired up to go out there and pitch well against the Detroit offense that I don't think has been all that great. Now, one thing to say about Sanchez, he's coming off of arguably his worst, not even arguably, one of his worst starts of the season, but it was 6 2/3, 7 hits, 4 earned, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk. Like, some pitchers in this league would kill to just be at that point right now. Maybe not the 4 earned, but still pitching nearly 7 innings, that type of thing. So I think that, you could look at Phillies -1 because I think we're going to get, 6 to 7 innings of Sanchez. So the first 5, I don't even think is as big of an advantage because you'll probably get 5 innings out of Morton, and then boom, Sanchez still has a couple more in him. So that's what I'd look at. Tigers team total under, also something that I would consider here. Citizens Bank Park is playing with a little bit of a higher run index today, so maybe that talks us off of it. But again, it's Chris Sanchez, and right now in terms of a team total, let me get the updated line. You can take a peek at Tigers team total under 4.5. That's probably a decent move. Actually, under 3.5, maybe for slight better, obviously better odds, but at -105, maybe that's the spot. Either way, it's going to be Phillies all the way around for me. Just got to figure out exactly how we like it or what we want to do. But I think back in Chris Sanchez with the Phillies in a bounce back spot at home, I don't know if we're going to be able to go wrong there, right? So, guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Really do appreciate you tuning in. If you made it this far, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Comment 27 if you missed me say it the first time. Here's a second chance. Really, really do appreciate it. Stay tuned for the Throw and Gas collection. I think these are really, really cool, and obviously we love the material of our merch and whatnot. So, fademe.store. Keep an eye out for those. Catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.